So, good evening, all. Let's understand the most important thing about your syllabus, which is going to give a global view regarding the most important aspect is international finance. The international finance, uh, which is the important aspect and being considered. My dear students, please mute your mic. If you are so busy, you can just mute your mic and continue your own business, but don't disturb the other people who are in learning phase. It's very important. Rohit sir, please turn on the sharing mode.
Done, sir.
Thank you, sir. Has been cut, so I have to switch to my mobile. So just give me 2 more minutes. I am switching back to my mobile. The power has resumed. So what I'll do is I'll join from both the devices. Give me 2 minutes. So meantime, my the other device reboot. We'll just talk about what is international finance. Now, dear students, since morning you have completed all the subjects like direct tax, you have completed advanced financial management, so forth and so on. But the most important thing in any subject or any syllabus is your international finance. Because in international finance, what we understood is how your business is growing up, how your business is moving ahead, and it is progressing further for your personal concerns, where you are able to analyze, you are able to focus on how to manage your overall business transactions. So, indirectly, in case of international finance, we are dealing with how companies can go global and they can more elaborately use the particularly resources so that the business can be expanded and benefits are available. So, in particular, the international finance is the part of your syllabus I'm going to deal my business, how I'm going to honor the activity which I'm going to follow when my business is on international levels. So this subject of international finance is more interesting because it will help you to understand the international legacy, its terms and conditions, and how the things are working. So when we deal with international finance, we need to talk about the international business. We need to talk about the role of international business. We will be discussing about the international currencies, so forth and so on. So, in short, when we are studying the international finance syllabus, we are going to deal about how the international currency and all these things are going to help you for making the things understand and how you can use this all information. So
PPT दिसत नाहीये सर
basically,
PPT.
then in nice sir, PPT I'm sharing shortly because light has gone, the PPT has disturbed.
ओके सर, ओके.
So
ठीक
give
आहे.
me 2 minutes. I'm sharing. Time I can continue discussion.
ठीक आहे सर.
Uh, in case of international business, I don't want to share the syllabus of IF now. The reason is that already we have discussed the two syllabus today. So what I'll do is I'll share the introduction and we'll start the first unit of your international finance. And tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll discuss about the syllabus and contents so that more repetitions is avoided. So I started the PPT sharing, but unfortunately power is cut. So my PPT got corrupted. So I was trying to repair the same, and hence it is taking time. Otherwise, there is no issue about the same. So so my other devices are connected, and I'll share the PPT. Give me 2 minutes. If the light is fluctuating, then I'll take a call. But let me share the PPT and continue with the first chapter because I'm more keen interested about this chapter. When I talk about the international finance, as I said, we are more delighted to understand this being an crucial topic where we are dealing and understanding the finance more effectively. So I'm sharing the PPT now. I hope it is visible. So let's continue with our discussion. Yes, the international finance. So we are learning today about overview of international finance, importance of international finance, nature and scope, and recent changes in international finance management. A multinational corporations which are engaged in the different businesses which are using the different resources across the globe, they are basically dealing. Okay, Vishal, are you able to listen to me? Vishal, are you able to listen to me? Because you have claimed that you're not able to listen my voice. So can you listen my voice? Vishal? Okay, he's not answering. So the multinational companies, when they are growing global, it is always an issue about how they are engaged. Because I'm crossing the two nations borders, two different accounting formats and two different things. So for them, the dealing with more than one nation, it become critical. And there talk about application of international finance. I'm in India, I'm in Pakistan, I'm in UK, I'm in Africa. In short, my existence is across the globe. I have a different variety of culture, I have different variety of currencies, their exchange rate, their valuation, their principles, their logic, and so forth and so on. So considering all this, I have to deal with number of currencies and people and their store. And hence, the international finance has to play a very vital role by understanding the different currencies, different people, and the financing engaged today. So, to summarize as a scope, the scope of multinational company is the scope of my international finance. Where in international finance, I'll be dealing about complex environment. I'll be talking about interest conflict. I'll be talking about wealth maximization. I'll be talking about the valuation of money and taxation. So let's jump on why I need international finance. The first thing, as a finance person, when I'm dealing in multinational company, I should know what are types of currencies, how they are traded, and why. Second, globalization has opened the scope of many companies, and we are operating in multinational level. So when I'm dealing in more than one nation, one currency, I should be able to understand different forces which are acting. I should able to do the valuation. I should able to grab the opportunities and growth worldwide. So international finance is one of the subject which help MBA students to establish their success across the globe and participate effectively in financial management of multinational companies. So I'll skip this part and I'll go to the challenges and opportunities. As I said, multinational companies and international finance, they go parallel. The same challenges we meet for international finance. The first challenge is cross-culture risk. The cross-culture risk indicates the in 2012, McDonald was a challenge that they are using the beef. Now we have Hindu culture maximum in India. The beef is not considered as a proper meat for diet. But in US and UK, that is considered to be a regular meal. So the burgers and hamburgers which are sold, it was spread a news that they are using beef. So McDonald's sale was dropped suddenly in one day by 38%. Now, why this happened? Because the emotional card or cross-cultural habits are being challenged. If you remember the India's Chale Jao movement, it was started with saying cross-culturalism. The message was given that the cover of bullets is made up of some XYZ thing which is not suitable for Indian people. And then the all the Indian people who are working in British Army, they start refusing to use the bullets. And what happened in history, all of you know the next. The second opportunity of international finance is foreign exchange risk. Foreign exchange is something where I can just use the benefits. I can take the advantage of more than one currency. Now, let me illustrate how I can take the advantage. Suppose there is US currency and there is Indian currency. For $1, the current rate is 100. Now, the war has started and US is winning. Then 1 rupee may be converted to 115. So instead of 100 rupees now, I have to pay 115. Now this is only change of $1. But if the currency is of $1,000, then effect will be 1,15,000. So this small change of 15 will cost me more 15,000 or so forth. So that's why in foreign exchange, I need to understand international finance, risk of conversion, risk of calculation, and risk of counting the time. So the 3C, calculation, conversion, and counting time, I had to answer in international finance. Then the political risk is not directly related to international finance, but again, the bilateral or collateral agreements or ties, they make an impact about political risk. For example, we are entering into an agreement with US that will allow their goods without tax in India. I'm not saying, I'm giving example only. So if their goods are costing rupees, suppose $100, earlier because of our import policy, these goods are India, they are costing 1,000. So they are costlier, they cannot sell in India. So that way, their goods are not purchased by many people. Now, if I enter in the agreement because of political pressure, because of other pressures, then in that case, I reduce the tax and 100 rupees goods are sold at 200 rupees. What will happen? Ultimately, Indian customers will get an option to buy. And now they are very fascinated about global brands, so they can start consuming the American goods. And it will create a fear for my local producers. Secondly, we have started initial trade with Russia, and Russia used to supply us the discounted price petrol, and we are benefited by the cost of that petrol. Now, next, what happens when we made an agreement with US? The Russia has stopped us supplying the concession. It has increased the price. Ultimately, this has impacted that the price of cheap petrol is increased and we have to suffer. Now, this is a political risk and its impact over our international market. Then, market imperfections. I think I don't require to explain the market imperfections. Recently, we have two great wars happening. One, US and Iran, and second, China and Taiwan. Now, there is third war between Ukraine and Russia, but we are not directly impacted major in this war. Why I take China and Taiwan? Because Taiwan is a major supplier of semiconductors and the chips and the minerals which are used in electronic parts. Whereas China is major supplier of raw material like iron ores, medical supplies, and so on. In case of US and Iran war, we already suffered what we call as petrol, diesel, and CNG, and our energy source are challenges. Secondly, the imperfections are always talks about four P's. The first is price, place, product, and people. And all these are interrelated because if the war happens, one it is get disturbed, he will disturb other three P. It can be people who disturb the price, it can be place, he can disturb the product, and so forth, so on. So how these are interrelated, we come to know by study of international finance. In the last, international finance help us to understand what are the opportunities which I can encash by understanding where an export. For example, we used to export the goods to US, but due to sanction of penalty, our products become costlier. Then the India has find the European countries as another market for expanding the agriculture exports. Now, this is outcome of study of international finance because this help you that how I can set up my loss, how I can manage my risk, and how I can grab the new opportunity areas which are available to set up my business. So this way, creating more funds, avoiding risk, and finding opportunity is the benefit of study of international finance. So, what is essence of international financial management? So, essence means the summary. The international financial management is a core concept of finance which talks about international business environment and its application about money. It talks about the trade. It talks about foreign reserve. It talks about the valuation of foreign currency, and it talks about how it is going to make an impact over the regular trade activities of domestic as well as global level. So overall, international finance is a branch of finance which is dealing with the more than one currency and explains us the conflicts, deals, and agreements of overseas business partners, suppliers, vendors, and the impact and reasons why the government organizations are taking certain decisions. So we already discussed this, so I'm just skipping this part. Now, if I want to give an example, now this data is in 2012. On third, our dollar was valued on 49.76. I just go on changing my dates. On 6th, that is in 3 days, the valuation becomes 57. So if I'm dealing with Forex, I have to send the money. This is the good date. And if I want to receive the money, this is the good day. Why? Because if you just check the difference, I'm getting 8 rupees extra without doing anything if I received at the 57. But if I want to make the payment at 57, I'm losing my 8 rupees. So whatever the date, whatever the fluctuation, I need to understand. I need to plan my expenditures. I need to forecast all things. Now the question arises, sir, you're saying I can forecast. But how I understood that there is going to be war between China and Taiwan or US and Iran? Because I'm not the global person. The answer is there are certain scenarios you can feel. For example, in today, whether Pune, you are getting rain or it is going to be a normal weather. How you judge? The best thing, you read the weather forecast, you see the sky, whether the black clouds are there. If the sky is clean, it's windy, you decide, okay, the wind is there, no clouds are there is no rain. Same way, when you read the international finance thoroughly, understand its concepts and policies, you can take a call. What are the reasons why there will be conflict and what will be the solution? And this is a benefit of learning international finance. So this is an example which I will quote. If the dollar price is fall by 50 and I convert $10,000, then you can just see the amount which I'm losing or gaining is 5 lakh rupees for 10,000. So simple change in fluctuation. Instead of 50, I take 5 rupees. The loss is 5,000. Sorry, 50,000. If I take 50 paisa change, the loss is 5,000. And if I take 0.005 paisa, my loss is 5,000. So the count on the converts of international currency, understanding its fluctuation and flow, will help me to earn the profits or lose the money without any moderations if I able to understand international finance. Now, this is certain news. China has growing, its income is growing. Now, if China is doing well, what is the reason why I should consider? The simple thing, we are competing China in certain areas. If the currency fluctuation about China and Chinese currency is devaluated or its value is reduced. Suppose earlier Chinese yuan was 79 rupees. Now it is costing 83. Then the currency of China become strong. If instead of 79, I can get 1 yuan in 50 rupees. It means the products which China is selling, they become cheap. Instead of 5,000 rupees product, now China is selling the products in 3,000. So ultimately, they are getting the cost advantage. And if I read these lines, if I want to understand these lines, I should able to forecast what is impact on India. Now the second question, if the value of China is declined, instead of 79 rupees for 1 yuan, it's a 50 rupees for 1 yuan. Which products I can export or I can import? Because India is very good trader about sugar and basmati rice. Whereas the electronic items, the minerals, and battery cells are exported by China. What I can do is I can export them basmati rice and certain food grades because the exchange rate has declined. The India's export will become competitive. Instead of 64 rupees, I'm able to sell the goods in 50 rupees. So the 14 rupees is not my loss. It is just an advantage I can take to export China. Similar way, if I'm producing suppose Apple phone in India, I require certain chips. If Chinese currency declines, I'm getting my raw material easily, so I might benefit. So the change in international market, the change in scenario, or the potential benefits I can expose of when I deal with international finance. These are the market information. I just skip this part and we'll move further. Okay. I'll wait for 2 minutes. I want all of you to read this slide. This will explain you what is difference between local and international finance. I'll explain this, but I want you to read for me yourself. I hope the reading part is over. So let's start with the discussion. So I consider certain points where I'm comparing the domestic finance and international finance. The first and foremost, in international finance, more than one currency we are dealing with. Whereas in domestic finance, I'm just considering only one currency. So risk of convergence of currency, managing their prices, future expectations is absent in case of domestic, which is present in case of international finance. The impact of culture, beliefs, and thoughts or religious behavior is very high on international trades and international finance. Whereas in my domestic country, I know the composition of my religious activity. I know the beliefs and trust and follows. So it has the impact also on domestic, but it has very limited impact since I know the cultural combinations and way out how to avoid it. The influence of corporate governance and its regulations is very limited in domestic because as we discussed in financial reporting, I'm just dealing with the Indian accounting standard. I should not bother about US GAAP. I should not bother about IFRS and all these things. But in international trade, I'm dealing with more than one country, more than one country's accounting rules and procedures. And in short, I am being concerned about multiple laws and legalities. So it become very complex situation for making any decisions and practicing or implementing my financial goals. In international finance, I'm suffering from political risk across the different globe. It can be risk about my subsidiary, risk about my direct sale, or it can be risk of certain issue. But in domestic cases, it's a negotiable and very negligible political and other type of risk. Now, why this happens? Because in global market, I am very aware about the political power, their agendas, their issues, and I can easily handle them by certain manipulations, negotiations, and I can counterset by the countersetting benefits available to myself. Whereas in international market, there is the interest of each country, their different parameters or forces, their religious beliefs, and it increases the risk of trading, exchanging, and finance settlements in an international market. So, in short, the complexity, the divergence of currencies, different legalities, and different interest factors. So, to give an example, recently the Bangladesh Prime Minister advisor visited in India. He was being part of the list that a threat because he was making an anti-Indian comments. Now, when he went back to the Bangladesh, because we are not welcoming friendly, because he was not that friendly for India. So their opposition parties start demanding India is a threat, ask them to apologize. So that was an opportunity. They created a political disturbance and it impacted on our trade. And the export of electricity, what Adani was doing, has reduced of 26%. So this political factor is just a mere trigger to make a loss of 26% trade for Adani and their trade officials are locked. Their outstanding are still in legalities about payments. So one decision, one action resulted in loss or profits. But in case of domestic, everything can be settled out because we are following only one nation and its legal conditions. I'll go to the court, I'll go to the high court, I know high court, there's Supreme Court, there's special branch, and so forth and so on. So when I'm considering the local one nation as an aspect, I have advantage that I have a less political risk. I'm not saying zero. I'm saying less political risk, which can be controlled or bother about. In case of the international finance, it prevails about the season. It prevails about the construction of certain arises. For example, now the European countries are suffering from heat waves. If you go to the Vidarbha side, like Nagpur, Varda, Amravati, we are getting same temperature of 43 degrees. But in that countries, the 43 degrees, they are suffering because the kind of climate or the environment what they are friendly with is mild hot. So temperature can be around 14 or 15 degree. So it was very relaxed summer. But now, since they are not used to for this, we have seen the videos and many photos that their road construction, their dams, their houses, their schools, they are getting issue. They have even declared holidays for their some work. They ask the people to work from home. They declare some seasonal offs. They have start medical campaigning. Government has start spending the water. Simply, they are struggling with the supplies. And now, what is the impact? Suppose Afghanistan is supplying dates to India, and there the climate change happens. It will increase the price of dates because the crop has issue. Similarly, Switzerland and Mauritius they are supplying the dairy products. If their climate is suddenly changed, then the productivity of these nations is going to change. Once the productivity of these nations is going to change, it will impact on global presence. And then whatever the other nations who are having favorable conditions, they will be having the benefits. So the situational benefits, the opportunities are more in international market and it is more risky compared to your domestic market. The multinational agencies or multinational companies depend on certain different parameters than the local companies. We have the profit in domestic market by means of absolute advantage, comparative advantage, and relative advantage. Now, what is absolute advantage? That I am having the things, but other person don't have. So, if you want, pay me. What is comparative advantage? Comparative advantage means I have the things for 10 rupees and other person has the same thing for 20 rupees. So if you want cheap products of same quality, you can buy. And third is absolute, comparative, and relative. I have a larger production of coffee. So if you want tea, I can give you coffee, you give me tea. There is a one situation. Second situation, I can just influence my domestic or other country that why you eating tea when it's 20 rupees. You can approach and take my coffee for 10 rupees. So I can influence the market. But in international trade, what is type of government, whether it's stable or not? What is controlling whether the single party government is there or multiple parties? Whether it's a capitalist country or social country? Whether it's socially disturbed or not? All these factors add towards my profitability. So overall, we can say the international financial management is a complex and unique in terms of its number of complexities to understand. Whereas my domestic financial market is a more systematic, more convenient, more approachable, more direct, and regulated well because I know the rules and it has comparatively less risk, less involvement of political parties. I'll wait for 2 minutes. I want all of you to read again this difference. So I hope the reading is done. If you have doubt, you can just put in chat box. I'll just move further. So if I want to define theoretically international finance, these are the three definitions. The first definition says international finance is a branch of economics broadly considered with monetary and macroeconomics interrelations between two or more countries. The second definition talks about international finance examines the dynamics of global financial system, international monetary funds, balance of payments, exchange rates, foreign direct investment, and how these topics are related to international trade. We'll take the third definition. International finance is an area of financial economics that deals with monetary transaction interactions between two or more countries, concerning itself with the topics such as currency exchange rates, international monetary system, foreign direct investment, issues of international financial management, including political risk, foreign exchange risk, and inherent in managing multinational corporations. So let's talk about the first definition. It's a branch of financial economics. It is concerned with monetary and microeconomics interrelations between two or more countries. So, as per first definition, a financial aspects when applied to an macroeconomics where more than one nation is dealt, it is called international finance. Now, there is a doubt. So, in all these definition, the word economics is applied. Why they are not directly saying it's international finance? The simple reason international finance is not a complete statement because we don't have a complete laws and process and things. What we are doing, we are using the theoretical aspects to analyze the situation and mapping it over the profitability, gain or losses to myself. And that's why it's a behavioral science to reduce, to analyze, to implicate, and to imply the impact of behavior or the trade in global level. And that's why the wording of international finance is consist of economics. Now, going back to the second definition, we have in second definition, it examined the dynamics of global financial system, international monetary systems, balance of payments, the exchange rates, the foreign direct investment. So this definition just describes how the scope of international finance is. As per this definition, these are certain major functions what international finance do, and that's why it is called international finance. Now, what is meant by dynamics of global finance? The dynamics of global finance indicates how the complexity, how the system or approach of different contributors regarding valuation of currency, regarding exchange rates, regarding payment system, payment gateway, record keeping, formatting, and approaches in international business is analyzed under the branch of finance, which is called as the international finance. They are specifically highlighted three more points. One, a foreign direct investment, that is the people who are investing in fixed assets of India. They are starting the companies or the direct investment in India. Second, the definition talks about the international monetary system, where it is talking about the different institutions like World Trade, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, IRBRD, and so forth and so on, which are contributing by financing, refinancing, lending to the various activities. The third and most important, it talks about the balance of payment. Why it did not talk about balance of trade? Because balance of trade is a part of balance of payment, or we can interrelate both. But since we're talking about international finance, we're talking about the balance of payment. Now, those who don't understand balance of payment, let me explain. Suppose India is exporting 10 rupees to Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is supplying 20 rupees products to India. So, how much India need to pay? 20 rupees, and how much Bangladesh will pay? 10 rupees. So India is paying 20 rupees, Bangladesh is paying 10 rupees. It simply indicates we are paying 10 rupees extra. So if I'm paying 10 rupees extra, it is called as an unfavorable situation, and it is recognized as negative balance of payment. Again, ulta, suppose I export to the US, I export 200 rupees and import 100 rupees. So US will pay me 200 rupees and I'm paying US only 100 rupees. So in that case, I'm getting 100 rupees extra from US. That will be called as a positive balance of payment. The fourth and last aspect is exchange rate. I already given an example. The slight change in 5 rupees or 10 rupees per dollar per rupee is changing my benefit or profit or loss. My dear students, I share in my experience. It was the Bank of Maharashtra, and one of my friend was having the forex account. In the morning, he has received the order from China to export the kind of mineral. I'm not remembering the name, which China is using for making medicines. So in the morning, 1 yuan was costing 68 rupees. It is times something around 10:30. So deal was locked. So it is 68 rupees at 10:30. At 4:30, they agree about terms of deal, and they decided that whatever the rate now, it will be exchange rate. He was very surprised. At the time of deal, the Chinese counterpart informed, sir, instead of exchange rate, what we'll do is that you will pay the 50% amount tomorrow morning, and the latter, the whatever the tomorrow's the exchange rate will apply. And at the time of settlement, we can take the average rate of 3 days. So he agreed. So when he started the transaction, he was getting 68 rupees. Next morning, he was so lucky that yuan has raised to 78 rupees. So over the night, suppose he had traded for the 1000 yuan, he has received the benefit of 10,000 extra rupees. And this 10,000 is his gain for nothing. And that's the beauty of exchange rates. So how I manage the exchange rates? What are the different theories of exchange rates, and how the valuation is done? All these things are a part of international finance. Now, almost all the things of international finance is covered by first and second definition. So let's talk about what is new in third definition. It says it's an area of financial economics, so it is repeat, but it adds the basic, that is it in between two or more, and it has dealing with issues of international financial management. So the two things which is highlight in third definition is it talks about issues of international finance management, and secondly, it talks about between two or more countries. The first definition says two or more countries, but in third definition, it is precisely talking about topics of two or more countries. Because in first definition, it talking about interrelations. So how the two or more countries deal with each other, it was the outcome of first definition. But in third definition, it says it talks about the issues of two or more countries for their dealings, for their convergence. I'll wait for 1 minute. Please read all these definitions because they are very important for university examination. I hope reading is done. Let's move further. So this is a summary of your syllabus. We are going to talk about international finance management. We are going to talk about foreign exchange markets. We are going to talk about foreign risk, their insurance, their trade, their capital market, and the synthesis of same following to your financial planning, forecasting, implementation about more than one country and their currency. So that's all about the introduction to your first chapter. Today we deal with about understanding the meaning of international finance. We start understanding the basics of international finance. We have learned about different terminologies or the things which are followed and how the international finance is different. So just to quick revise, international finance is an science, is an system where we are dealing with more than one nation. We are talking about the different people, different culture, different risks, and we are discussing and deliberating about the core transactions they are involved in. So, in international finance, we are enlightening ourselves, understanding the political, social, economical risk in macroeconomic levels and how we can use that for our advantage. For your international finance, normally the numericals are not asked, but if you're bad luck and the pattern it is changing, they will also ask the numericals. So just as a revision, I'm sharing the syllabus for a just quick review. We'll discuss this syllabus in tomorrow's session. If you can just see, the major importance is given first, that is meaning, scope, and importance of international finance. So we have covered the first point today. Tomorrow's session will talk about globalization of world economy. And your second unit is about foreign exchange. There are theories like interest parity, purchasing power parity, future, and so on. Your third unit is about transactions and so on. But if I go down, there is no mention if any numericals are asked. So you're fortunate to have the comparatively easy syllabus to follow and score more. So that's all for today. If any doubt, you can unmute and ask me. I'll wait for 1 minute. Any doubt about introduction to international finance?
No, sir.
Okay. So thank you all of you being part of this meeting. Now, my dear students, it is understood that there is a light fluctuations. Many students are not able to join or they left the meetings. What I suggest that join the meeting on time and keep your options open. Don't only depend on internet or Wi-Fi, or don't only depend on certain source. Because if you just see, I myself has suffered in the morning also and evening also. That fluctuations in electricity is disturbing. So if you're approaching to the sessions, keep your backup plan ready so that it will not be troubling to your side, and it will be benefited for you to listen the all subjects and be participative. Since morning, I'm getting only one response, and I'm very happy about the response. But I want all of you to be a participative. Don't be a only listener, because if you not reply, it is your loss. You should be able to respond and manage everything. So, wish you a wonderful night ahead, and thank you for being part of this session. Will tomorrow morning meet at 7 for my session about advanced financial management. The two other sessions are scheduled as today only. So attend the all sessions, and I'm going to monitor your attendance for each session. So please don't miss any session. Thank you once again, and wish you a wonderful night ahead. You can now log off the meeting and enjoy your quality time. Thank you.
No, 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 no.